happy today. I am William Brown from IamWilliamBrown.com. This is Disconnect to Connect, one word conversations. I really enjoy having these conversations, and I can't believe the numbers that we've kind of put together to kind of create the shows that we are. But it's great. And as I do, this is the time where I talk about our sponsor, and our sponsor is IamWilliamBrown.com, where you can get all things that helps you be a better you. Now, the one thing that you can get there, of the many things, you can get a couple of books there of living beyond the shell, and the U cards. But today, what I wanted to talk about was the U journal, the journal, a daily journal that you can have to kind of have at least 15 minutes with you. And it's that time that you get when you're in the morning time. That's when I use it, of just saying, who just woke up today. I don't know if you feel that, but sometimes there's a question that goes through my mind: how am I going to show up today? And so with the U journal, will ask you to ask questions of affirmations or an I am statement to kind of go from there, and to handle that. So, with that in mind, I will introduce our word of today. And our word for today is wellness. That shows up in a number of different ways for me, and it doesn't show up. Let's just say that I have been working a lot on my wellness, and a lot of times I believe that there's a conversation happening around wellness, but not within wellness. So, with that in mind, I've invited my friend to join me, and we'll have a conversation around wellness. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am doing great. This is the moment where I ask my guests to introduce themselves however it feels comfortable.
So, my name is Alice Munyaua. I am a nurse practitioner, and I'm excited about the word of the day, which is wellness. Yes.
Well, that's great. I was excited when I picked this word, and we're going to be doing this word most of the week here. But I am so glad to start off this conversation with you. So, how does wellness show up for you?
Wow. That depends on what I think, because what I think is not what my patients think. And for me, wellness is actually feeling good inside and out,
Hmm,
like a balance between spirit, mind, and body. That is
hmm,
wellness for me.
hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. I think for me, I really um, just see it as fitness. It's just what I'm doing or not doing, and it's like, do I feel well? Am I moving? And that's it. And it doesn't. In some cases, it doesn't even touch all those other areas that you're talking about.
Yeah. For me, it touches every area. And because I'm a nurse practitioner, that's how I see wellness. So
Right.
sometimes I talk to my friends. Like there's this one time, I had a friend who was on two blood pressure medicines. And I'm looking at him, and he was a little bit overweight. And I knew there were some things I could help him with. So
Right.
we are talking, we are just having conversation. And I say, if you lost weight, you could get off that medication. And he was like, well, but I feel okay. I'm okay taking the medication. So
Wow.
for him, wellness was he was taking these two drugs and he felt okay.
Hmm.
And
Wow.
to me, that's sickness.
Right. Wow. Why do you think we're conditioned to believe that, if we're taking the right medication or even eating the right food, that's enough?
Yeah. I think it's part of our education children. And the fact that when you go to the doctor with, say, high blood pressure as a diagnosis, the doctor prescribes you something, and they tell you that you have to be on that medication for the rest of your life.
Right.
And you think that because you're taking the drug and your blood pressure is normal, you are okay.
Right.
And you're not.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's so let's talk about the other areas now that you've kind of opened my mind up to this. It is so how does your soul show up as well? How does, how can we embrace that level of wellness?
Okay. Now we are talking.
Right.
So those are the deeper things of life.
Right.
When your soul is not well, your body cannot be well.
Hmm.
Even though you're moving and you look okay, because when you don't have peace in your mind, and now your soul, most people don't know what the soul is. The soul is the mind, the will, and the emotions.
Hmm.
Yeah. So when
Wow.
your soul is not at peace, your body will have disease.
Wow. Wow. And so I think too often, like you said, we don't have any connection to our soul, or we don't really understand what the soul is. So that's why there's so much disease in our body, I guess.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It all starts in the mind.
Right.
The mind is where everything starts. But for me, I go a little bit deeper than that. And
Okay.
this is an area I find people really, some people understand it, some people don't.
Okay.
The spirit.
Hmm.
Yeah. Because of our education and our background and our spiritual understanding, most people think that a human being is made up of two things, the soul and the body. That one, the majority of people understand. But I guess maybe because of my background, I am African. Even from as a small child, I don't know how I knew, but I knew about the spirit. I didn't know how everything worked together,
Right.
and I knew as I grew older, I knew the spirit and the soul are two different things.
Right.
Most people don't know that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I think I'm one of those people, right? Because I've used it interchangeably a lot.
yeah. I find that it's used interchangeably. So the spirit is something different. And the spirit is the real human being.
Hmm.
Yeah. Human
Wow.
beings they're spiritual.
Yeah,
They're spiritual.
I recognize that I'm on this spiritual journey to understand, my spiritual self and where it plays into my life,
Mhm,
but really seeing it as that's who I am.
mhm.
That the more that I embrace, I guess, the spirit or myself as spirit,
Yeah.
then I can move and and just kind of be in it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around this because it is that, yes, we're talking about wellness. Yes, we want this spirit, okay, this is how I can make my soul well.
Mhm.
Can I make my spirit well, or is my spirit just my
Your,
spirit?
your spirit is actually the human spirit.
Hmm.
It has all the good things. All the good things you think about in life are
Hmm.
there. Yeah, your joy, your conscience, the ability to know what's right and what's wrong
Right.
is in your spirit. And hope comes from your spirit. But now
Wow.
your mind can be under attack. Your spirit cannot. Your spirit is eternally safe,
Hmm.
but your mind is not.
Got it. So
Yeah.
our wellness is around our mind, our soul, and our body. And the
Yeah.
more that we and so me, this is what I do. I try to connect all the dots, right? So the more that I can connect to my spirit,
Huh?
the more that I can basically connect to my body and my mind and become well.
Yes, this is how it goes.
Okay.
When your spirit is not well,
Okay.
nothing else will be well.
Okay.
Because you have to feed the spirit.
Okay.
You gotta feed the spirit.
Okay.
And the way that you can think about your soul as the go-between. The soul is what connects the spirit and the body.
Okay.
That's the middleman. Yeah.
Okay. The middleman.
But everything you know comes through the mind.
Okay.
The mind is where we process things. That's where we get our understanding
Great.
of how to behave, what bothers us. And when you feed your spirit, you feed it through the mind, the things you read,
Right.
how you worship, because
Got it.
everybody worships something.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I believe in a higher power. You process all that information with the mind. The mind is what helps you understand. But
Right.
the mind is not safe. So our mind, I tell people, our minds are bipolar.
Hmm. Wow.
Yeah. And the way you really understand, there is this saying, I don't know where this story came from, but I've heard it a few times, that inside of us, we have two wolves. Have you ever heard the story of the two wolves
Yes.
who are struggling?
Right.
And which wolf wins? And it
Right.
says the one you feed.
The one you feed. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
So,
our minds are bipolar.
wow.
Now, if you feed the bad wolf, the bad wolf is the one that holds all the negative things you see in life. Fear, anger, bitterness, all that will cause the body to get sick.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, so me, I don't want to, can we, I was like, can we starve one of the wolves if we stay in that analogy? Can we
Oh, yeah.
starve them to death,
Death.
or do there? So it is, when we become, I guess, unwell and bitter and with fear and all that other kind of stuff. Do we have a chance to revive the wolf that we starved?
Yes. And that's where grace comes in. We have that. We have the ability to choose which wolf we're going to feed.
Right.
That's a choice. That's the will. When we think about the mind, so the mind analyzes what it's looking at.
Right.
And then your spirit says, that's good, that's bad. So conscience comes from the spirit. That's a
Right.
spirit thing. So because the mind itself, the mind is a good servant, but it's
Right.
not a good master.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The spirit is the master.
Right. And too often, and I say for myself that the mind feels like it's running the show, right? I kind of I try to, I'm always in my mind. I'm always trying to thinking and overthinking, and it's like controlling how I'm showing up. And the
Yeah.
more that I just tell the mind what I am doing, and what we're doing and what we're up to, then I can have this wellness. Then I could have this. I don't know if the right word is balance, but then I can have this way of showing up.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned about balance, because that's my second book. And I don't have a picture of it, but maybe you can. I'll
Right.
send you
I'll
the link.
put that. Absolutely.
The title of it is Think and Grow Healthier. Think, because we think with our mind, but
Right.
our mind, and I'm pointing here, this is the head, and inside here we have a brain. And that's another mistake that people make. They
Right.
think that the brain is the mind, but it's not.
Wow.
So yeah. So
Wow.
the brain is a slave to the mind.
Wow. So
Yeah.
is it going back into what we are told?
Yeah.
Is it really about our education? Do we have to
Yes.
unthink that, unlearn
We
that?
have, yeah, and I find this when I talk about wellness, I tell people it's like unpickling pickles, because
Wow.
I have to undo what has already been done, and
Right.
then start feeding you the right information. So my
Wow.
second book says, Think and Grow Healthier. A balance. You mentioned the word balance.
Right.
A balance between spirit, mind, and body.
Right.
And that comes actually from the nursing model.
Hmm. Wow.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's I totally believe that our answers to all of our challenges are, are right in front of us. I mean, they're like in plain daylight, but because
yes,
of where our focus is, and I guess maybe our wellness,
yeah,
that we can identify the answers.
yes. I tell people that the truth is hidden in plain sight.
Wow.
Yeah.
And why do you I guess there is, I don't know what I was going to ask there, but the one thing about, on this road of discovery that I'm on, and seeing things, hidden in plain sight, and it's like, gee whiz, it's like right here. Why have I been worried about this?
Yeah.
But I think the challenge that I have for myself is that really letting go what I know, because that's familiar, and it's like, I know this feels right. I know this is righter than what I'm doing, but it's still, I can't let go of that. Is what's going on
I,
there, do you think?
okay. So sometimes when things are not working well,
Right.
that's the clue. When things are not okay, then we need to ask questions. What's causing this? And yes, sometimes we have to unlearn things, because that's what I had to do. And the way I actually got introduced into this is stuff that the information in that book is things I already knew, and I didn't know I knew. How about that? I
Yeah.
didn't know I
Wow.
knew until I was faced with a situation, and I realized that they were making a mistake, because the things that were going on in my mind, I understood my mind, because only you, William, are the only one who knows what's going on in your mind. There is somebody else who knows, and that's our maker. Our maker sees our thoughts.
Right.
Nobody else in the world can see that, only
Right.
you.
Right.
So sometimes when things are not going well and people tell you, oh, I think you got this, your mind will know, because your spirit knows truth. And yeah, it knows truth. So when you're being told that, like my situation, I actually had a mental breakdown because of something that had happened to me. And I was taken to the hospital, and the doctor said that I had bipolar. And I
Right.
knew that the doctor was wrong. So that's what opened me up. That's when I had my spiritual awakening.
Right. Wow.
And I started questioning everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think, see, and I love that. Too often, it's the asking of questions, when things are not working, that in some cases, for me, it feels like it's causing more trauma. It's like the more, it's like unpeeling an onion, right? The more that, the more that you peel, the more that you're crying. Oh,
The
what's
more
what's this?
layers.
Right, the
Yeah.
more layers, and all this other
Yeah.
kind of stuff. But I recognize that, exactly what you were saying, that people will say what they say, but you already know.
Yeah. You
And
know
it's
truth.
right. And too often, I find myself doubting my truth, or doubting what I already know. And it's
Yeah.
just like, who am I going to believe in this?
Yeah.
And so to go from there, wow.
That's why we have to go back inside, because
Right.
the truth is within us.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and the other thing I found out, if you start looking, even though there are layers that you have to dig through,
Right.
you will find it. There is an answer for every question, and there is also a solution to every problem.
Right.
You just have
Wow.
to find it.
Right. And I think too, there was, I forget, there was something that I was reading that was talking about most of the things, most of the suffering that we deal with. It's more about things that we're not letting go of. right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Ah,
So it's
yeah.
like you think that there's this, this trauma, this different thing that's happened
Yeah.
to us,
Yeah.
and it's the past tense. It has
Mhm.
happened,
It
but we
has
hold
happened.
on, right? We hold on to it as if
Mhm.
it is happening, right?
Yeah.
And
And
that's
that's where,
causing trauma, right?
when trauma happens, like something bad could happen.
Right.
And because it has already happened, there's no way you can undo the past.
Right.
So the question is, do you hold on to the past or do you let it go, no matter how bad you feel?
Right.
Because most people hold on to the past because they either want an apology or they want whoever caused the trauma to come and say, I'm sorry.
Right.
And sometimes those people will never do it.
Right.
So what are you going to do? And you don't have control over other people. The only
Right.
control you have is yourself.
Right.
So that anger of the trauma that happened to you because somebody else caused them,
Right.
it becomes unforgiveness. And unforgiveness boils down to bitterness. Because every time you see them, when you don't forgive something,
Right.
every time you remember, you feel the trauma all over again. You feel the pain.
Right.
And that pain, every time you feel pain, your body produces chemicals.
Hmm.
Yeah, stressful
Wow.
chemicals like cortisol.
Right.
And cortisol goes on to cause cortisol it causes so many problems in the body.
Right.
Because when you have high levels of it, it can cause type 2 diabetes. It can cause adrenal disorders.
Right.
It can
Wow.
cause chronic fatigue syndrome. By the way, chronic fatigue syndrome is when your soul is heavy laden. So you are carrying all this baggage in your
Right.
mind,
Wow.
and your soul is tired.
Hmm.
And so the body is tired.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
you have taken this level of wellness to a to a place where it doesn't just stop within my meditation, but it kind of starts there, and then it kind of turns into, I guess, more than a practice but an awareness of what I'm holding on to, or what I'm what's holding on to me, and all of those things. So it's just that level of awareness, so
Yeah.
I can have wellness.
Yes. That's a funny thing you just said. What's holding on to you?
Right.
Because I did a talk one time about obesity.
Right.
And most of the time, if you go to the doctor, so we're talking about wellness. So you go to the doctor or a nutritionist, and they want to know what you're eating.
Right.
And actually, what you're eating is not the problem. Most people think what you're eating is the problem,
Right.
but it's what's eating you
Right.
should be the
Wow.
question.
That's the
Yeah,
question. Right.
that's the
That is the
question.
question. Right.
Yeah, because
Oh.
there
Oh.
is always a cause.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
What's eating me? Right. Yeah. So right, because I get so fixated on what I eat, right? And it's kind of it's but it's what's eating me is causing me to get fixated on what I'm eating, right? Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow,
Because
right?
what's eating you? Yeah.
Right.
Because when you look at obesity per se, so
Right.
so we talk about wellness and people, you always go to the doctor and what the doctor say, lose weight, stop smoking, stop drinking.
Right.
But addictions, now we are going into addictions. Addictions have a root cause. Just telling someone to stop is not good enough.
Right.
You have to understand why they are doing it. What's causing it?
Right.
And that's where you start dealing with the drug of choice. And food is a drug of choice for some
Right.
people.
Right.
So there are people who get obese from eating too much food, eating when they're not hungry,
Right.
eating too many sweet stuff. There's a
Right.
reason why they're doing that.
Right.
And just telling them, now here, I'll put you on a diet. That's not good enough. You
Right.
gotta find out what's eating them first, because there is something. So I look at obesity. When somebody comes to me and they want to lose weight, the first question I ask is, what medication are you taking? because I know even with a good diet, the medication you're taking could make you gain weight.
Right.
Yeah, and I look at medication for mental illness, especially depression, antidepressants.
Right.
I look at high blood pressure medicines.
Right.
They can all make you gain weight. And when you're trying to lose weight, they kind of hinder that. Even when you're eating healthy, they hinder it. Because like blood pressure medicine, most of the time we give like beta blockers. I know that's a scientific word.
Right.
But beta blockers, they're blocking something inside your body.
Right.
And so when you go to exercise, because those blocks are already there, your exercise is not going to be effective.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there's just like I said, there's so many layers to this wellness, and that there are these these diets, there are these pills, there's I've used shakes and all that other kind of stuff, and they all can work, right? And they probably all do work. However, until the individual knows what's eating them, none of those things
they're not gonna
work for it, right? And so you're just wow. I think you just saved me some money there, right?
Let me tell you a story though. The other day I had a friend who came over to my house and I gave them something to eat and they were like, I'm on a diet. And this person is a nurse. I'm on a diet. And I was like, what are you going to diet? First of all, I know what their work schedule is like. Right. And I know they're also in school and they have a small child. Right. So they're not getting enough sleep. I knew that part about them. I said, whatever diet you decide to go on, it's not going to work until you can get enough sleep. Because, you're just wasting your money and your time. Get enough sleep first. Wow. And you'll find that weight will come off very easily, very quickly.
Right. So here's another challenge. Well, we'll be wrapping up soon, but here's another challenge for me. And maybe, I don't know if this is free medical advice or anything like that, but I have a challenge with drinking a lot of water. And I just feel like, is that the missing piece? I just need to drink more water. I know that there's benefits of it, but is that could that be just as important as getting enough sleep?
Yes, it is important. But now let me just say this. You look physically fit. So for you, right. I know you're not trying to lose weight. You look good. Right. But how much I would say this. My book, Think and Grow Healthier, a balance between spirit, mind, and body. You have to take care of the body also. Right. So the body, how do you take care of the body? You get enough sleep. You drink enough water. So my question will be, how much water are you drinking per day?
Probably 32 ounces, maybe.
How many glasses is that? I'm bad when it comes to math.
That's probably 2 or 3 glasses.
3 glasses? Yeah. How many? That sounds like enough water. So that's like enough water. I usually tell people drink 10 glasses or 4 bottles of 360 or even 500.
Right.
And then mix up with other things. Because if you just drink plain water, right, you're gonna get tired of it. Right. So you drink things like coffee. You can drink black coffee if you want to. It's actually once you get used to it.
I drink more teas. Yeah.
So you can drink tea. Just don't add sugar.
Okay.
And it breaks the monotony of drinking water. The other thing I recommend people to do is bone broth.
Okay.
Bone broth has no calories, and it tastes good. It hydrates you. It makes you feel good. And if you just do the real bone broth, because for me, I buy the bones.
Okay.
And I boil them. This is something we used to do in Kenya. So it's good for your joints. It has collagen. It also has calcium that comes from the bones. And it's very hydrating and absolutely no calories.
Okay.
It
Well,
is
hey,
good.
well,
Yeah.
I just have to find some bones, huh? Right, get that in there. You know, I use sugar. No, I don't use sugar. I use honey right now, and I have
Okay,
raw
so
honey that I put in my
honey
tea.
is good. Yeah, to break the monotony. Let me give you the name of my second book, which talks about
Okay.
just diet per se,
Okay.
how to take
Okay.
care of the body.
Okay.
And I know you say we are lapping up or something.
Yeah, it's around because we could talk about this for hours. I mean, this is what you do, right?
This is what
So,
I do. I love to do it. I love to talk about it. Let me just give you this, and this is a guide to clean, healthy eating.
okay.
Uh, it says, "Do like grandma did." A guide to clean, healthy eating.
Right.
Ooh, I'm not typing correctly.
Right.
Clean, healthy eating, which is we have to eat clean. What do we mean by that? Eat non-processed foods. Eat
Right.
lots of vegetables and fruits. A few fruits, actually, more vegetables than fruits. And then
Right.
sleep and drink water.
Right. So I
And
mean, so it all starts with that, right? It all starts with
and then exercise, go out in the sunshine. That's not hard to do, right?
right.
Yeah.
No, I
Mm.
totally get that,
Mhm.
but sometimes it just feels like it's getting away from me, right? It
It's
feels
the
it's like
mind. The
right.
mind is where the problem is.
Right. It is
Yeah.
it is the mind that is telling me that. And so I do want to share your website. And so all of your books are there, and anything else you have going
Yeah.
on that you want people to
Yeah.
connect with you on.
Yes. I also talk about racism.
Yeah, that's in the conversation today, right? And that's look, that's the wellness for me. I think that is there's a lot of souls that are not well around this.
Yes, because that brings out anger. And if you have anger, you're not gonna have peace. So I also talk about that. But Facebook is the best place to meet me, and I post every day.
Okay.
Yeah, I talk about racism. You know what I talk about?
What?
The perfected art of bending reality.
Wow. I am definitely gonna have you back on so we can have that conversation. I try to stay away from the
Politics.
conversation around. Not it's not even politics. It's a
Uh-huh.
conversation around race
Uh-huh.
because people make it political.
Yeah.
People make it something more than it is instead of what I think mutual respect and honor and love of each other. I mean,
Yeah.
that train has left the station a long time ago, but I think we have an opportunity to have another way forward. And I think especially the work that you're doing, the soul work and the spirit work and the wellness work is what's needed in the conversation.
Yeah.
It's way beyond black and white.
It
You know,
is.
yeah, it's way
Yeah.
beyond what we see.
Yeah. It's actually not about black and white. It's not. It's deeper than that. It's more
Right.
complicated than that.
Right. And
Yeah.
so there is something within my business. I've done a couple of businesses as entrepreneur, and I would always have people say that when people are confused, they do nothing, right? And so people
or,
are confused about race, so they do nothing, right?
or they do the wrong things.
Or they do the wrong things. They
Yeah.
they they do the wrong things. This has been a wonderful conversation, and
Thank you.
I appreciate your generosity, and I just and your work. I mean, it's like I'm the labels guy, right? So
Yes.
we are
Yes.
our labels, and we're not our labels, and the fact that you could have basically stopped with the nurse practitioner label and just whatever that means. There is so much of you that is way beyond that, but it's all connected. You are your labels and you're not your labels. And so you can
Yeah.
have a conversation about spirit. You can have the conversation about your soul and body and racism, right? You know, and everything else. And so I just love your contribution, not just to my life, but to the world because of who you are. And I am so honored to know you.
Thank you. That's why I bought your labels, because I know how labels diminish who people are. Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
We're so much more than that. Well, we'll
Mm.
say our goodbyes from the green room. Well, I'll end the show, and then we'll go from there. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that is great. And just looking at our wellness and what exactly does that mean? I think too, like I started the conversation, wellness for me was just my body. You know, like, you know, six pack or you know whatever, have a little more energy to do some things. And there is so much more that is calling me, so much more that is a part of me living a life of wellness. The world wants you, the world needs you, and the world is waiting for you. So, go be you. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you tomorrow.